We've all been there, staring down a problem that just feels impossible. Maybe it's a deadline you can't meet or a relationship you just can't seem to fix. Today, we're going to look at one single powerful idea from the Bible that just smashes that feeling to pieces. Nothing is too hard for Jesus. So let's dive in and see what that actually looks like. Everything we're talking about today really hinges on this one verse from the book of Matthew. After Jesus performs this incredible miracle, the crowd is just blown away. They say, nothing like this has ever been seen. That feeling of seeing something brand new, something so powerful, that's our jumping off point. Okay, so let's make this really personal. If you're a student, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That end of the semester crunch is no joke. The pressure is on. But I want you to just take a second and really ask yourself, what are you carrying right now? What's that weight, that stress, that impossible feeling thing that you've been trying to handle all on your own?
All right, our first big lesson comes from the story of two blind men. Now, they couldn't physically see Jesus, but they understood something about him that the crowds were only just beginning to figure out. And their response? It wasn't just sitting around and hoping. No, it was an active chase.
So check this out. Their faith had three clear parts. First, they actually followed him. They didn't just wait for him to come to them. Second, their cry for help wasn't some vague wish. It was super specific. They knew who they were talking to. They called him Son of David, which was a title for the Messiah. And third, when Jesus looked them in the eye and asked if they believed, their answer was instant. Yes, Lord. No hesitation.
And this gets to a really crucial point. The kind of faith that moves Jesus isn't just a general idea that, miracles can happen. It's a specific personal trust in him, in Jesus himself, to do the impossible. See the difference? The blind men didn't just believe in the concept of healing. They believed that Jesus could heal them. That little distinction, it changes absolutely everything.
And that brings it right back to you and me. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, I believe God is all-powerful. But it's a whole lot harder to say, I trust Jesus with this exam I'm going to fail, or this relationship that's falling apart, or this huge uncertainty I have about my future. The real challenge is to get past the general idea and move into specific, active trust.
Okay, so next up, the story shows us one single miracle that causes two totally opposite reactions. Let's break down how the everyday crowd and the religious leaders looked at the exact same event.
I mean, just think about that for a second. The evidence was right there. A guy who couldn't talk was now talking. Crystal clear. Everybody saw the same thing happen, but they walked away with completely different takeaways. How on earth does that happen? And here it is, side by side. On one hand, you've got the crowd. They are just in awe. Their minds are open to what they're seeing. But on the other hand, you have the religious leaders, the Pharisees. They don't even try to deny the miracle happened. Instead, they just chalk it up to an evil source to explain it away.
This right here is the key. The problem wasn't the evidence. The variable was the condition of the heart that was looking at the evidence. See, a heart that's open is going to be amazed. But a heart that's already closed off, that's hardened by pride, it will find any reason, doesn't matter how illogical, to dismiss the truth.
Man, this is such an important and, honestly, a relieving truth, especially if you're trying to share your faith with friends on campus or anywhere else. You can lay out all the facts, all the arguments in the world, but you can't force someone's heart to change. Your job is simply to show people who Jesus is, clearly and faithfully. The rest, the work of opening eyes, that's up to the Holy Spirit. So, what do we do with all this? How do we actually live it out? Let's take these two big ideas, a faith that runs and a heart that's open, and turn them into some real, practical steps for this week. First up, let's take a page from the blind men's book. Instead of just vague prayers like, God help me, name the specific thing you're carrying. Be direct. When that end of semester pressure starts to crush you, make a real choice to run to Jesus, not away from him into distractions. And let's challenge that passive, I hope things get better attitude. No, cry out. Follow, ask. And for our second lesson, let's remember not to get discouraged if someone doesn't respond positively. It's a hard issue, right? But this isn't just about other people. It's a call to look at our own hearts. Is there any pride in me that's keeping me from trusting? Let's change our goal from winning debates to simply showing people Jesus. And maybe this week, let's pick one person we know and just pray for God to open their eyes. All right, let's wrap this all up and boil it down to a final prayer and a core message to hold on to. Wow, that's a really vulnerable thing to admit, isn't it? It's so easy to judge the Pharisees for explaining things away, but how often do we do the exact same thing? We use our logic to explain away God's power, instead of just bringing our need to Him. This is about letting our faith lead, not our doubts.
And here it is. This is the goal. It's not just about feeling inspired for a moment, it's about changing how we act. This is a prayer for that same kind of active, pursuing, relentless faith that we saw in those two blind men. Let's make that our goal for this week.
And that's the bottom line, the simple, unshakable truth that supports everything else. So the question to leave you with is this: what specific, too hard thing are you going to bring to Him this week, believing that this is really true? Let that question guide you.